They said I was crazy to jump in front of her. Maybe I was. But when you're a single dad with nothing left except a daughter waiting at home, you learn that some things are worth dying for, even saving a depressed billionaire who's already given up on living. Before you watch full story, comment below from which country are you watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more amazing stories. The rain hammered against my delivery truck windshield as I pulled up to Morrison Tower. I grabbed the grocery boxes and headed inside. Just another delivery to the richest woman in the city, Victoria Chen. I was just trying to make enough money to feed my 7-year-old daughter, Emma. But tonight changed everything. As I entered the lobby, I heard shouting. Victoria Chen stood near the elevator in an expensive coat, her face pale and empty. A man with a gun pointed at her. "You destroyed my life," the man screamed. "My company, my family, everything." Victoria's voice was flat, dead. "Then do it. Pull the trigger. You'd be doing me a favor." My blood ran cold. This woman wanted to die. What? The gunman seemed confused. "I said shoot me," Victoria repeated. "End it. I'm tired of pretending any of this matters. My money, my empire, it's all empty. So go ahead, Richard. Give me the peace I can't find." The man faltered. "You're supposed to beg." "I'm beyond everything," she said quietly. "There's nothing left inside me but darkness. Just finish it." I saw the gun rising. I saw Victoria close her eyes, welcoming death. And I couldn't let it happen. I didn't think. I just moved. The boxes crashed as I ran forward. The first bullet hit my shoulder. Fire exploded through me, but I kept moving. I threw myself in front of Victoria as the second shot rang out. This one hit my chest. My legs gave out. Victoria's face appeared above mine, shock and tears in her eyes for the first time. "Why?" she whispered. "Why would you save someone who wants to die?" Blood filled my mouth. I thought of Emma. My sweet Emma with her mother's smile. My daughter. I whispered. "Emma, tell her I love her, tell her life is worth living." Then darkness took me. Life wasn't always this hard. I was David Porter, a mechanical engineer with a beautiful wife Sarah and happy daughter Emma. We had a small house with a garden where Emma would chase butterflies on summer afternoons. We had dreams of family vacations, of watching Emma graduate college, of growing old together. Then Sarah got cancer. Stage 4. The words hit me like a truck. "How long?" I asked the doctor, my voice barely working. 6 months. Maybe less. There's an experimental treatment, but insurance won't cover it. I didn't hesitate. I sold everything to pay for that treatment. Our house that we'd saved 5 years to buy. My car. Every penny in our savings account. I took out loans from banks, from friends, from anyone who would help. I worked double shifts at the engineering firm, took freelance projects, sold our furniture piece by piece. For 6 months, I fought for her life with everything I had. I held Sarah's hand through chemotherapy sessions that left her weak and sick. I cooked her favorite meals even when she couldn't eat. I read to her every night, the same books we'd read to Emma when she was a baby. I prayed to a God I wasn't sure I believed in anymore. But it wasn't enough. The treatment failed. Sarah died on a Tuesday morning in spring, holding my hand as sunlight streamed through the hospital window. Her last words were whispered through cracked lips. "Take care of Emma," she said. "Give her a good life. Promise me, David. Promise me you'll never give up, no matter how hard it gets." "I promise," I sobbed. "I promise, Sarah. I love you." "I love you too," she breathed. "Both of you. Always." Then she was gone. After her funeral, I discovered the true extent of our situation. We had nothing left. Worse than nothing, crushing debt that would follow us for years. Medical bills piled up like mountains. The bank foreclosed on what remained of our house loan. Credit card companies called daily with threats. We lost our home and moved into a tiny one-room apartment in the worst part of the city. The walls were thin, the neighbors loud, the streets dangerous. But it was all I could afford. I couldn't find engineering work. At every interview, they saw a broken man drowning in grief. "You're overqualified," they'd say. Or, "We're looking for someone more focused." What they meant was, "You're damaged goods." So I became a delivery driver. Night shifts, mostly, because they paid a bit more and I could be with Emma during the day. Mrs. Rodriguez, our elderly neighbor, watched Emma in the evenings when I worked. She refused payment at first, but I insisted on giving her what little I could. The work was brutal. 12-hour shifts driving through the city, delivering groceries to people who had everything I'd lost. I'd carry boxes up to penthouses and mansions, then return to our one-room apartment where Emma slept on a mattress on the floor. Some nights, alone in the darkness after Emma fell asleep, I sat by the window and thought about ending it all. The pain was too much. The debt was crushing. The loneliness without Sarah was unbearable. I'd look at the bottle of sleeping pills the doctor had prescribed and think how easy it would be. But then I'd hear Emma breathing softly in her sleep, and I'd remember Sarah's words, "Never give up." So I didn't. I got up every morning, made Emma breakfast, walked her to school, picked her up, helped with homework, tucked her in at night. Then I'd drive through the city delivering packages to strangers. Every night before work, I'd tuck Emma in, kiss her forehead, and promise, "Daddy will always come home to you." She'd wrap her small arms around my neck. "Promise? Promise, baby. Always." I never broke that promise. Not once in 3 years. Until the night I met Victoria Chen. I floated in darkness. Doctors called it a coma. I called it hell. Because I could hear everything but couldn't respond. I was trapped inside my own body, screaming silently while the world moved on without me. I heard the steady beep of machines keeping me alive. I felt hands turning my body to prevent bedsores. I sensed the passage of time through the rhythm of nurse shifts changing, through the difference between daylight and night darkness filtering through my closed eyelids. But worst of all, I heard Emma crying beside my bed. "Daddy, please wake up," she sobbed, her small hand clutching mine so tight it hurt. "I need you. Mrs. Rodriguez is nice, but she's not you. Who's going to make me pancakes the way you do? Who's going to help me with my math homework? Who's going to tell me stories about mommy?" Her voice broke my heart into pieces. "Everyone at school asks where you are. I told them you're a hero. You saved someone's life. But Miss Victoria says you might not wake up. Daddy, please. Please wake up. I can't lose you too. I can't." I screamed inside my mind. "I'm here, baby. Daddy's here. I'm fighting so hard to come back to you." But my body wouldn't respond. Not even a finger twitch. Nothing. Mrs. Rodriguez's voice joined Emma's. "Come on, Mija. Let your daddy rest. We need to get you home for dinner." "But what if he wakes up and I'm not here?" Emma protested. "Miss Victoria has my number. She'll call us immediately. I promise." I heard Emma's footsteps leaving, then returning. She kissed my forehead, something I used to do to her every night. "I love you, Daddy," she whispered. "Please don't leave me like Mommy did. Please." Then she was gone, and I was alone with my silent screams. But I wasn't alone for long. Because every single day, without fail, Victoria Chen came to my bedside. At first, I didn't understand why. I'd saved her life, sure, but I was a stranger. She owed me nothing beyond paying my medical bills. But she came anyway. Mr. Porter, she said quietly that first day. David. I don't know if you can hear me. The doctors say you might be able to. So I need you to understand what you did. She took a shaky breath, and I could hear tears in her voice. Before that night, I was dead inside. I had everything money could buy. A penthouse worth $20 million. A company worth billions. Cars, jewelry, properties around the world. And I wanted nothing more than to stop existing. Her confession shocked me. This powerful billionaire had been as broken as I was. 3 months before you saved me, I stood on my balcony 23 floors up at 2 in the morning. I climbed onto the railing. I looked down at the street below and tried to find one reason not to jump. Just one reason to keep living. Victoria's voice cracked. I couldn't find any. My sister hadn't spoken to me in 5 years because I'd chosen work over family. I had no friends, only business associates. My days were endless meetings about profits and losses. My nights were empty silence in a too big apartment. I'd achieved everything I'd worked for, and it all meant nothing. She paused. I heard her blow her nose. The only thing that stopped me that night was cowardice. I was too afraid to actually do it. So I climbed back down and went back to my empty apartment and my empty life. But from that moment on, I was just waiting. Waiting for something to end it for me. When Richard showed up with that gun, Victoria continued, her voice barely above a whisper, I felt relief. Finally, someone else would do what I couldn't. I wouldn't have to be brave. I could just stop. That's why I told him to shoot me. I meant it with every fiber of my being. I felt pressure on my hand, she was holding it. But then you appeared. This man I'd never met, who delivered my groceries twice a week but whose name I never bothered to learn. You had a daughter at home waiting for you. You'd already lost everything trying to save your wife. You were barely surviving yourself. Her grip tightened. And you threw yourself in front of bullets for me. A woman who'd given up. A stranger who'd basically asked to die. Why, David? Why did you do it? If I could have answered, I would have said, because I know what it's like to want to die. Because I know what Sarah would have wanted me to do. Because I couldn't watch another person give up when I was still fighting so hard to keep going. But I couldn't speak. So Victoria filled the silence with her own answer. I've been trying to understand it, she said. I've learned everything about you. About Sarah and how you sold everything for her treatment. About Emma and how you work yourself to exhaustion to give her a decent life. About how you're a good man who kept fighting even when the world had broken you. She was crying now. You showed me something crucial, David. You showed me that if a stranger thought my life was worth dying for, maybe it was worth living for too. Maybe the depression was lying. Maybe I wasn't as worthless as I felt. Victoria's voice grew stronger. So I'm not giving up anymore. I started therapy 2 days after the shooting. I called my sister and we talked for 3 hours. I'm cutting my work hours in half. I'm learning what it means to actually live instead of just exist. And I'm taking care of Emma, she continued. I moved you both to a better apartment in a safe neighborhood. I paid off all your medical bills and old debts. Emma's in a better school now with art programs and music classes. Mrs. Rodriguez has a real salary for watching her. She squeezed my hand. I'm doing this because you gave me back my life. But also because during these visits with Emma, I see what you were fighting for. She's incredible, David. She's brave and kind and so full of hope even though she's lost her mother and her father is in a coma. She tells me stories about you, Victoria said softly. About how you make funny faces when you flip pancakes. About how you dance terribly to her favorite songs. About how you always find a way to make her smile even when money is tight. She loves you so much, David. So much. Her voice turned urgent. Please fight to come back to her. She needs you. And honestly, I need you too. Because you're the only person who understands what it's like to be in that darkness. And you're living proof that we can survive it. So please, David. Please wake up. Over the following weeks and months, Victoria came every single day. She told me about her therapy sessions, about reconnecting with her sister, about the foundation she was planning to start for mental health and suicide prevention. I want to help people like me, she said one day. People who have everything but feel nothing. People who are standing on balconies at 2 a.m. trying to find reasons to live. If I can save even one person the way you saved me, maybe that's enough purpose to keep going. She also brought Emma to visit regularly. Sometimes I'd hear them together, and it warmed something in my frozen chest. Miss Victoria, Emma asked once, why did my daddy save you? I think because he's a good man who couldn't walk away from someone in pain, Victoria answered. Even when that someone was a stranger. Even when it might cost him everything. Are you glad he saved you? Emma asked innocently. There was a long pause. Then Victoria said, her voice thick with emotion, yes, sweetheart. I am. At the time, I wasn't. I was angry at him for taking away my escape. But now. I'm grateful. Every single day. Because I'm learning that life can be beautiful when you let people in. When you find purpose beyond yourself. I'm glad too, Emma said. Because you're taking care of us. And Daddy would be happy about that. Months passed in that darkness. But Victoria's daily visits, Emma's faithful presence, gave me something to fight for. Every day I pushed against the walls of my prison. Every day I tried to find my way back. Make a wish, sweetheart, Victoria said softly to Emma. I wish for Daddy to wake up, Emma said, just like she had every day for 3 months. Emma took my hand. Daddy, Miss Victoria told me you're a hero. But you don't have to be a hero anymore. Just be my daddy. Please. Her voice shook. Miss Victoria told me she was sad before you saved her. She didn't want to live. I understand that, Daddy. Sometimes I'm so sad without you and Mommy. But Miss Victoria says we have to keep fighting. Emma's whisper broke my heart. My reason is you, Daddy. Please let me be your reason too. Something inside me cracked. I thought of Victoria welcoming death. Of Emma understanding that darkness. Of Sarah's last words. I couldn't let depression win. With everything I had, I fought. My finger twitched. Daddy. Emma gasped. His finger moved. I pushed harder. My eyelids opened just a crack. Light flooded in. Through it, I saw 2 faces, Victoria crying with joy, and Emma, my beautiful daughter. Daddy? Emma whispered. I squeezed her hand. She burst into tears. You came back. The road back was brutal. Physical therapy 5 days a week. Learning to walk again. The bullets left scars that would never fully heal. But I was alive. Emma never left my side. Victoria visited daily too. You changed my life, she told me. Not just by saving it. By showing me what matters. I was so focused on my empire that I forgot what real wealth is, love, sacrifice, being there for people who need you. 6 months after waking up, I could walk with a cane. Victoria had a proposal. I'm starting a foundation for mental health and suicide prevention, she said. I want you to help run it. You understand the darkness. You can help others find their way out. I accepted. Not for the money, but because I'd found my purpose, turning pain into healing. Emma thrived in her new school. She joined the art club and made friends. Every night, I tucked her in and told her I loved her. Daddy, she'd ask sometimes, were you scared that night? Terrified, I'd answer honestly. Then why did you do it? Because some things are more important than fear. Like love. Like showing you that even in darkness, we can choose to be brave. 1 year after the shooting, Victoria asked if I'd visit Richard Sterling in prison. I wasn't sure I was ready, but she insisted it was important. He needs to tell you something, she said. And I think you need to hear it. The prison was cold and gray, smelling of disinfectant and despair. They brought Richard into a meeting room, his hands cuffed, his orange jumpsuit hanging loose on his thin frame. He looked nothing like the angry man I'd seen that night. He looked hollow, broken, but somehow more human. When he saw me, he started crying immediately. Not quiet tears, but deep, body-shaking sobs. "I'm sorry," he choked out. "God, I'm so sorry. You didn't deserve what I did. You were just trying to help, and I nearly killed you." I stayed quiet, letting him speak. Victoria had taught me that sometimes people need to confess their pain before they can heal from it. "Can I tell you what happened to me?" Richard asked, his voice raw. "Will you listen?" I nodded slowly. "I'll listen." Richard's story poured out like water from a broken dam. He and Victoria had been business partners 15 years ago. They'd built a tech company together from nothing. But they'd disagreed on a major expansion deal. Victoria wanted to proceed carefully. Richard wanted to move fast, take bigger risks. "We couldn't agree," Richard said. "So she bought me out. It was fair, more than fair, actually. She gave me $20 million for my shares. But I was angry. I felt betrayed. I thought she was stealing my dream." He wiped his eyes with his cuffed hands. "So I took that money and started my own company. I wanted to prove her wrong. I wanted to beat her. I made risky deals, borrowed money I shouldn't have, expanded too fast. Within 3 years, I'd lost everything." His voice dropped to a whisper. "My wife Linda had a heart condition. We'd managed it for years with medication. But when the business failed, we lost our insurance. We couldn't afford her medicine anymore. The stress of it all, the fear, the shame, it triggered a massive heart attack." Richard's face crumpled with grief. "She died in my arms in our bedroom because we couldn't afford the ambulance. She begged me not to blame myself. Her last words were, 'I love you, Richard. Please don't let this destroy you.' But I did let it destroy me. I blamed Victoria for everything," he continued. "I convinced myself she'd sabotaged me, even though I knew it wasn't true. I told myself if she'd just agreed to my plan back then, everything would be different. Linda would still be alive. My children would still respect me." He looked up at me with haunted eyes. "The truth is, I destroyed us. My decisions. My failures. My pride. But I couldn't face that. So revenge became my reason to live. It was easier to hate Victoria than to hate myself." Richard's hands shook. "The more I focused on revenge, the more I lost. My children stopped speaking to me. They said I'd become someone they didn't recognize. My friends abandoned me. I lost my house, lived in my car for a while. All I had left was my hatred. For 2 years, I planned how I'd make Victoria pay," he said. "I followed her routines, learned her schedule. I bought a gun illegally. I wrote letters to my children explaining why I had to do this, how it was all Victoria's fault." His voice grew softer. "That night, when I finally confronted her, I expected her to beg. To show fear. To give me the satisfaction of knowing I'd hurt her. But instead, she told me to shoot her. She said I'd be doing her a favor." Richard looked at Victoria, who sat silently beside me. I realized in that moment that we weren't so different. She'd achieved everything and felt empty. I'd lost everything and felt empty. We were both already dead inside. "Then you appeared," he said, turning back to me. "This stranger I'd never seen before. You threw yourself in front of my bullets without hesitation. And I saw something I'd forgotten existed: selfless love. Sacrifice. Choosing someone else's life over your own safety. Tears streamed down his face. You'd lost your wife too, just like I lost Linda. You were struggling to survive, just like I was. But you chose sacrifice instead of revenge. You chose to save instead of destroy. In that split second, you showed me what I could have been. What I should have been. If I'd honored Linda's memory by being good instead of being angry, Richard said, his voice breaking, maybe my children would still talk to me. Maybe I'd have found a way to help other people avoid financial ruin. Maybe I'd have volunteered at a heart disease charity in Linda's name. There were so many ways I could have turned my pain into something meaningful. But I chose hatred, he finished. And hatred didn't bring Linda back. It didn't ease my pain. It just created more victims. You almost died because of my choice to let revenge consume me. And I have to live with that every single day. After a long silence, I finally spoke. What are you doing now? Richard's face showed a hint of something that might have been hope. I'm in therapy. The prison offers it. I'm learning to process grief in healthy ways instead of letting it turn to poison. I write letters to my children every week, even though they don't respond. I tell them I'm sorry. That I'm trying to be better. I also volunteer in the prison library, he continued. I help other inmates get their GEDs, learn to read, improve their lives. It's not much. It doesn't undo what I did. But it's something. He looked at both of us. I can't bring back the months you lost to that coma. I can't give you back the pain you suffered. But I want you to know I'm trying to become the man Linda wanted me to be. The man you showed me I could still become. After we left the prison, Victoria was quiet for a long time. Finally, she spoke. 7 years ago, before you saved me, I would have wanted him to suffer, she admitted. I would have wanted maximum punishment, maximum pain. But you've taught me something different. What's that? I asked. That broken people need healing, not more brokenness, she said. Richard made a terrible choice. But he's also a human being who lost his way because of pain and grief. Just like I almost did. Just like thousands of others do every day. She looked at me with tears in her eyes. If we can help him find his way back, if we can show him that even someone who did something unforgivable can choose to be better, maybe that helps heal the world a little bit. Forgiveness isn't forgetting, I said. And it doesn't mean there shouldn't be consequences. But it does mean believing people can change. Victoria nodded. You showed me that when you saved me. You showed Richard that when you listened to his story today. And maybe that's what the world needs most, people who believe in second chances. 2 years after the shooting, Emma came home from school upset. There's a girl in my class named Sophie, Emma said. She told me she wishes she wasn't alive. My blood ran cold. What did you do? I told her about you and Miss Victoria. How Miss Victoria was really sad but got better. I said Sophie can be my friend and meet Miss Victoria too. We met with Sophie's parents and school counselor. Sophie started therapy. Emma became her first real friend. 6 months later, Sophie's mother came to thank us, crying. Emma reached out when no one else noticed. You saved Sophie's life. Victoria shook her head. David saved mine. Emma saved Sophie's. That's what we do. We save each other. 3 years after the shooting, Victoria's foundation had helped thousands. We ran crisis hotlines, support groups, and provided free therapy. Emma, now 11, became part of it too. She spoke at schools about mental health. I used to think being sad was bad, Emma told teenagers at one event. But Miss Victoria taught me being sad is human. It's what we do with sadness that matters. Do we let it win or fight back? She looked at me. My daddy chose to fight. Even when everything was hard. When he saw Miss Victoria giving up, he fought for her too. That's what love does. It fights. 5 years after the shooting, Victoria spoke at a mental health conference. Her speech went viral. I'm Victoria Chen. I'm a billionaire. 5 years ago, I wanted to die. The audience was silent. Depression doesn't care about your bank account. It's a liar that tells you nothing matters. That you don't matter. Her voice grew stronger. 5 years ago, I believed that lie. I told a man with a gun to shoot me. I was eager to die. But a delivery driver named David Porter threw himself in front of bullets for me. She wiped tears. He showed me my life had value even when I couldn't see it. That the darkness was lying. During his 3-month coma, I learned to live again. I started therapy, reconnected with family, and built this foundation. Victoria's voice rang out. If you're thinking about ending your life, please listen. I know the darkness feels permanent. But those are lies. You matter. You matter to people you haven't met yet. Don't let depression write your ending. She finished with tears streaming. 5 years ago, I thought my story was over. But it was just beginning. Don't give up. You deserve better. The documentary about our story, 2 Bullets, 1 Choice, premiered 3 years later and won awards. But more importantly, it saved lives. One letter particularly moved me. From a teenager named Marcus. Dear Mr. Porter. I've been planning to kill myself. But watching Miss Victoria describe her darkness, it was like she was describing my life. Then I saw you. A man who'd lost everything but kept fighting. I told my dad. He's getting me help. You showed me depression lies. Thank you for saving me too. Marcus. I read that letter at our gala, my voice breaking. This is why we do this work. For Marcus. For everyone standing on the edge. At 80, Victoria gathered us for a private meeting. She'd been fighting cancer. I've rewritten my will, she said. Everything goes to the foundation. I've had 35 years since you saved my life. Every single one was worth living. She looked at Emma. I got to watch you grow up. Got to be part of your life. That's worth more than all my billions. She looked at me. You gave me a life worth living, David. I want to make sure that gift keeps giving. 3 months later, Victoria passed peacefully. At her memorial, Emma gave the eulogy. Victoria was living proof that depression doesn't have to be a death sentence. 35 years ago, she was ready to die. My father refused to let her go. That single act saved more than just Victoria's life. Emma's voice grew stronger. It saved mine. It saved thousands of strangers. And it will continue saving lives for generations. At 82, my heart was failing. The doctors gave me months. Emma wanted me to fight it, but I was ready. I'm not giving up, I told her gently. I'm accepting that every story has an ending. I'm at peace. But I still need you, she cried. You don't, baby. You're stronger than you know. I'll always be with you, just like your mother. On my last day, Emma brought Marcus, the teenager from the letter, now a therapist at our center. I'm alive because of you, Marcus said, tears flowing. I've helped hundreds. Every one, I tell your story. Emma held my hand. You did it, Dad. You kept Mom's promise. You proved depression doesn't have to win. I looked at the pictures on the wall, hundreds of faces, hundreds of lives saved. Was it worth it? Emma whispered. Every second, I breathed. Every bullet, every scar. Love won. Hope won. Life won. Promise me you'll keep fighting for them, I said. I promise, Emma sobbed. I closed my eyes, seeing Sarah's face. Behind her, Victoria. Behind them, thousands of others. I kept my promise, Sarah, I whispered. I never gave up. Then, peacefully, I let go. At David Porter's funeral, thousands gathered. Emma stood to speak. My father was an ordinary man who did an extraordinary thing. He saw a stranger ready to die and refused to let it happen. Those 2 bullets started a movement. Hundreds of hands rose when she asked who was alive because of his choice. My father said his story wasn't about heroism. It was about connection. About seeing someone in pain and choosing to help. She held up Sarah's letter. My mother told him to be a light in someone's darkness. He did that for Victoria. Victoria did it for thousands. Now it's our turn. If you're struggling with depression, hear this, you matter. Your life has value. Don't let depression write your ending. Choose to live. Choose to fight. That's his legacy. Not 2 bullets in his chest, but thousands of lights lit in the darkness. Emma planted a tree at his grave. On the plaque. David Porter, he took 2 bullets to save a stranger, and in doing so, he saved the world. Depression lies. Life wins. Never give up. And across the country, people touched by David's story made a choice. To keep fighting. To reach out for help. To believe tomorrow might be better. Because one delivery driver had shown them it was possible. Because depression doesn't have to win. Because love, in the end, is always stronger than darkness. She looked at me. You gave me a life worth living, David. I want to make sure that gift keeps giving. 3 months later, Victoria passed peacefully. At her memorial, Emma gave the eulogy. Victoria was living proof that depression doesn't have to be a death sentence. 35 years ago, she was ready to die. My father refused to let her go. That single act saved more than just Victoria's life. Emma's voice grew stronger. It saved mine. It saved thousands of strangers. And it will continue saving lives for generations. At 82, my heart was failing. The doctors gave me months. Emma wanted me to fight it, but I was ready. I'm not giving up, I told her gently. I'm accepting that every story has an ending. I'm at peace. But I still need you, she cried. You don't, baby. You're stronger than you know. I'll always be with you, just like your mother. On my last day, Emma brought Marcus, the teenager from the letter, now a therapist at our center. I'm alive because of you, Marcus said, tears flowing. I've helped hundreds. Every one, I tell your story. Emma held my hand. You did it, Dad. You kept Mom's promise. You proved depression doesn't have to win. I looked at the pictures on the wall, hundreds of faces, hundreds of lives saved. Was it worth it? Emma whispered. Every second, I breathed. Every bullet, every scar. Love won. Hope won. Life won. Promise me you'll keep fighting for them, I said. I promise, Emma sobbed. I closed my eyes, seeing Sarah's face. Behind her, Victoria. Behind them, thousands of others. I kept my promise, Sarah, I whispered. I never gave up. Then, peacefully, I let go. At David Porter's funeral, thousands gathered. Emma stood to speak. My father was an ordinary man who did an extraordinary thing. He saw a stranger ready to die and refused to let it happen. Those 2 bullets started a movement. Hundreds of hands rose when she asked who was alive because of his choice. My father said his story wasn't about heroism. It was about connection. About seeing someone in pain and choosing to help. She held up Sarah's letter. My mother told him to be a light in someone's darkness. He did that for Victoria. Victoria did it for thousands. Now it's our turn. If you're struggling with depression, hear this, you matter. Your life has value. Don't let depression write your ending. Choose to live. Choose to fight. That's his legacy. Not 2 bullets in his chest, but thousands of lights lit in the darkness. Emma planted a tree at his grave. On the plaque. David Porter, he took 2 bullets to save a stranger, and in doing so, he saved the world. Depression lies. Life wins. Never give up. And across the country, people touched by David's story made a choice. To keep fighting. To reach out for help. To believe tomorrow might be better. Because one delivery driver had shown them it was possible. Because depression doesn't have to win. Because love, in the end, is always stronger than darkness.